Yo, 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 yo! What's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads out there? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
I'm getting better every day.
You got the vid.
I do. I got it. It got me.
Mrs. Weedman got
Tag,
the vid.
you're it. I feel like the game is over now.
You dodged a bullet for the last couple of years, though.
I did.
You did pretty good, even
Damn
when
it.
I had it twice.
It got me.
It got you.
I really thought, like, I'm just not going to get it. Mr. Weedman, be quiet.
I still don't think you got it. I don't think you
He's
have
convinced
it
I don't have it.
at all.
Because I wasn't as sick as he was.
True. But you
Mr.
also got
Weedman's
you
a
also
crybaby
you
when
also
he's
got- You also got the elixir.
Ah, pooey. I'm just stronger than you.
You are. You are. I will give you that because it beat me up twice and you fucking didn't even act like you had it.
I was gardening and it made him so mad. He's like, you need to get in here and rest. And I'm like, for what? You're sick. I'm like, but I don't feel sick. So why do I have to rest? I feel fine. My nose is stuffy.
Shit.
I got a cough. Otherwise, I'm fine.
Oh, man.
He's like, it's because you got the elixir.
You did. You got the
Yeah.
antibodies injected
did.
in you in an IV.
I did.
I want that next time I get the vid. Well, I'm glad you're doing better, Mrs. Weedman.
Thank you.
Yes. I've been playing doctor and hopefully taking good care of
Yeah.
you. Good.
You've been doing a very nice job.
Good, thank you. So, hey, everybody out in the world, I hope you're smoking big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. This is episode 99.5. And everyone's going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about, Mr. Weedman?
99.5 soft rock.
There you go.
It sounds like it should be
It's
a
a radio.
radio station.
We are not doing episode 100 yet. We're going to get a little cat out of the bag. Episode 100 is going to be a smoke sesh with all of you out there in the world. We'll post it in the next couple of days on our social media and every day and leading up until the day we're going to do a full-blown, I don't know if it's going to be, it's probably going to be like a Teams call. And all of you will release the number and the video and you guys can all join and have a smoke sesh for Mr. and Mrs. Weedman.
Yep. And we're going to try to record the smoke sesh.
Yeah.
So we'll see how much feedback there is. And
Yeah.
if it gets too crazy, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, so just keep an eye out on all of our social media, the 8 Decades social media, the Weedman 420 Chronicles social media. We're going to post it, the day, the time we're going to start. And if you want to join us for a smoke sesh, please have a smoke with us. A big fat doink, a bong rip, however way you smoke. Tell us what you're smoking. Tell us what you like smoking out of. It'll just be a cannabis community smoke sesh for everybody for the 100th episode of the Weedman 420 Chronicles. So come one and all and join us. We hope to have you on. We will let you all know soon. So anyway, I also want to give a shout out. I had a phenomenal experience with cannabis, Mrs. Weedman.
Yeah.
Before I tell you the strain we're going to smoke because they gave me the strain, I want to say thank you to Rise Mundelein and the staff there. They have a consumption lounge. The only one where you can buy cannabis in and go in a lounge and smoke. And it was fucking awesome. So awesome. So much fun. I want to give a shout out to Marie and her staff and everybody there was awesome. We smoked out of like 5 or 6 different apparatuses. I actually smoked out of this one and I'm actually 2 that I've always wanted to try. But the one I never smoked out of, I never even heard of until I was there, it was a Zenko. And this thing was fucking amazing. It was, you can use a cartridge or concentrates or herb, but we were smoking concentrates. I was dabbing. And it's got this little bottom pedestal, and you put this glass, like looks like a wine glass, over it, and you press the button, and you hold it as long as you want, and it's like a cloud of vape comes into this glass, and it just stays in there. I'm going to post a picture of this on our Instagram. I have a picture of it. It's fucking amazing. And you fill it as much as you want. Then you lift it up, and the bottom piece closes, and you drink it. I drank vape, and I was high as fuck. It was awesome. And then I got to smoke out of a gravity bong, which I always wanted to. And that's, if you don't know what it is, it's water on one end, and then you light the bowl, and then you turn it, and the water suction sucks the basically lights like the bowl, and then it shoots out this stem, and you just don't put your mouth on it. It just shoots shoots water vapor into your mouth, and you are fucking. I did that. I smoked out of a Puffco. I smoked out of the Zenko thing, and I ripped a bong rip and smoked a joint. And we were there. I don't know. We were there for a few hours. Me and Mr. G went up there, and we were fucked up. I was high. I was fucking high, and you all know I don't do concentrates that much. I was fucking high, but felt great. I mean, this Zenko thing, though, I need to contact them and see if they'll send me one just to like just do it on the show, because this thing was fucking fired. Zenco. I'm telling you what, it was awesome. It was an experience.
That was the one where you drank the vapor?
Yeah.
I want to try that.
It was so awesome. I want to.
Cool?
Yeah, it was just.
Do you feel moisture or
just
nothing?
It just was amazing.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was great.
Can't wait to try it.
Yeah. So, but it was so much fun. They also gave me some nugs to take home. They bought me a jar of Rhythm, and it's called Cookie Face, and I'm super excited to smoke it. I rolled a joint out of it, and it's a 50-50 indica sativa. Cookie Face is an evenly balanced hybrid strain created through crossing the delicious Girl Scout cookies and Do-Si-Do strains. Named for its delicious flavor and celebrity parentage, Cookie Face is the perfect bud for any hybrid lover. Like its name suggests, Cookie Face has a super sweet vanilla cookie flavor with hints of fresh fruity berries and spicy anise galore. The aroma is just delicious, with a sweet vanilla overtone that's accented by freshly ripened berries and spicy anise. The Cookie Face high is just delicious, with a lifted overtone that will have you feeling amazing from head to toe and pretty aroused before you know it. You'll feel lifted and euphoric without care in the world from start to finish with this bud. This is accompanied by a physical relaxation that washes over you, lulling you into a state of pure calm and ease that is not too sedative. In combination with the super high, this strain that I got is about 28% total cannabinoid content. These effects make Cookie Face a great choice for treating experienced patients suffering from conditions such as depression, chronic stress, mood swings, and headaches and migraines, which my brother has migraines. This might be a good strain for him. This bud has fat diamond-shaped olive green nugs, had some purple undertones in it for sure, and so the effects of this is aroused, calming, cerebral, euphoria, hungry, relaxing, uplifting, relieve symptoms of depression, headaches, migraines, mood swings, and stress. Berry, fruity, sweet, and vanilla flavors, and the aromas are earthy, flowery, fruity, spicy, and vanilla. I'm super stoked to try this. Thank you, Rise Mundelein, for your just humbleness, your awesomeness, treating me and Mr. G just with total respect and love, and letting us bring our vibe to your tribe up there, and just having some awesome fun. And it's awesome. If you want to go consume cannabis outside of your home or outside of wherever you consume it at, and be able to smoke it safely, and be able the bar, there's no alcohol, but the bar is just filled with all different bongs and apparatus to smoke out of, and you get to pick, and there's a bar bud tender. They bring you complimentary drinks and snacks and snacks.
So you just have to buy your weed in the dispensary.
Buy it there.
And then you go right in.
Actually, you could buy it in the consumption lounge.
You can?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
So do you have to make a reservation? Because it's small, right?
I went there, and the VIP room, I think you have to make reservations. The regular room, you don't have to. So there's a VIP room, and then there's the regular room, and it was just a great experience. It's what cannabis should be all about. It should be like that. You should be able to consume it. There should be consumption lounges throughout the world where people can go, kind of like Amsterdam, where you go to a coffee house and you're able to buy it there, consume it there, hang out there, leave when you want to leave, stay as long as you want. It was fucking just grand. So shout out to Rise Mundelein. I thank you so much for what you did for me and Mr. G. We had a blast. So I'm going to smoke this Cookie Face and hopefully get faced out. Mrs. Weedman's going to say hello to you all because she's already baked because she ate an edible.
Yeah, I had an edible. And I had to take another COVID test because today is supposed to be my last day. So I could go back out into the world tomorrow with a mask on, for like 5 more days or something. But I'm positive still. So 1 more day in the house. I'm stuck. But it hasn't been too bad. Yuki's got me going outside 500 times a day.
16 weeks tomorrow.
Yeah. Got some gardening. I moved some plants. Made Mr. Weedman really annoyed.
I wasn't annoyed.
You just couldn't believe it. You're
I
like,
was
what
just shocked.
the heck?
I'm like, I couldn't move for 5 days. You're out running laps in the yard with the dog and digging up holes and putting new plants in. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
And I've just been eating edibles. I have been microdosing a couple days here and there. Over the weekend, I microdosed during the day.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. And then I smoked. What did I smoke? Oh, that was 2 weekends ago because I did that. I smoked your experiment, the Weed Man experiment. Never did a day smoke of that. So that was probably maybe.
Oh, you did that with our niece.
Yeah, that was like 3 weeks ago, actually. Jeez, where does time go? But we smoked that and in the daytime, and that gave me the giggles.
Yeah, you had some fun.
Yeah, I didn't remember it being so giggly when we
yeah.
had smoked it on the show.
It's a great strain. The
was
Weed Man
good.
420 Chronicles.
What are you
strain.
smoking again?
I'm smoking that cookie face.
Cookie face.
Tastes great.
I'm gonna try it.
I have another nug. So
Save it.
I am. I'm going to save it for us and roll a joint for us when you're able to smoke again.
Yeah.
I think you could smoke now. We can't share
Nah.
the joint, but I think you could smoke now.
Nah.
You're not even that bad, not even that chest anymore.
Yeah, but
So,
I'll wait.
Mrs. Weedman, I can't wait for you to smoke with me again. So everyone, just stick with us. The 100th episode's coming soon. 99.5. Here we go, Mrs. Weedman. You ready to start the show?
Yeah.
Let's go. The
Let's
history of blueberry cannabis. I love blueberry. I love blueberry strains. I love blueberry crosses. Anything that has the word blueberry in it, just like Kush, I love. It just always does well for me. So let's talk about where this history of the blueberry came from. In the history of cannabis breeding, a turning point was reached in the late 1970s when a dedicated and passionate grower named DJ Short began introducing indica genetics to the sativa-dominant gene pool. This stroke of genius gave a rise to the legendary blueberry family of cannabis strains, which became the inspiration for a new age of hybrid cultivars. The history of blueberry cannabis beginnings. Originally from Canada, DJ Short spent much of the 70s mixing and matching sativa landrace strains on the west coast of the U.S. Constantly on the hunt for new and exciting phenotypes, he eventually fell in love with two unique specimens that would go on to spawn the blueberry dynasty. The first of these was a Highland Thai named Juicy Fruit, which delivered an intense, long-lasting high packaged in sweet tropical flavors. A second plant was also created by crossing a Highland Oaxaca Gold with chocolate Thai. This colorful individual went by the name of Purple Thai in reference to her tendency to express a deep purple hue when exposed to cold temperatures. However, things got a little interesting when DJ Short got his hands on the Afghani indica in 1979. Indica strains were somewhat uncommon and unfashionable at the time, yet the particular male showed potential. DJ Short began breeding his Afghani male with a purple Thai female, producing the famous Flow strain. A sativa dominant hybrid, Flow, was then bred with the Juicy Fruit Afghani cross to create the original, the OG blueberry. Consisting of 80% indica genetics, blueberry became a hit for its unique effects, which can be described as relaxing body high tinged with energized euphoria, and that is why, ladies and gentlemen, I love blueberry. Retaining the purple propensities and fruit flavor of the forebearers, blueberry introduced growers to the benefits of indica traits that shorter grow cycles and more compact plants. Now before I read the rest, I got to experience a cross of blueberry and white rhino. We called it rhino berry. And this was back in like 2001, 2002. And I think I've talked about this on a prior episode. That was my first experience with the blueberry crossbred strains, blueberry in general. And it was a grower I knew down south. They used to bring it up to a nightclub I worked at and gave us a lot of it, and it was great. And once I tried that sticky goodness, my life kind of had changed on what indica what an indica strain was about, and what I really liked, and why I liked the how mellow it made me and chilled out it made me, especially after a long night of work. So when I got to get to finally try blueberry. And as you know, I've talked about lemon berry and I've talked about berry white. So I have other crossbreds, and I've also smoked true blueberry. And I love it. If you haven't had a chance to try it, I highly recommend it. So, a Cannabis Cup winner in 2000, blueberry completed change the breeding game and sparked a new trend for indica sativa hybrids that took over the industry in the 80s and 90s. The blueberry family expands. DJ Short moved to Europe in the mid-1990s, striking up partnerships with top seed banks like Dutch Passion and Spice of Life. These collaborations spawned an extensive line of new hybrids, including a now extinct sativa-dominant blueberry. Among the most famous additions to the blueberry lineage are cultivars like Blue Dream, which fuses blueberry and a haze genetics to give the super potent high that balances the sedative effects of indica with the cerebral rush of sativa. Blue Cheese, which I'm not a fan of cheese strains. Like a friend of mine grows blue cheese. I love making edibles with it. I don't like smoking it. It goes right to my head. Blue cheese, meanwhile, is a big hitter that blends blueberry with the skunk-like properties of UK cheese. You'd really have to go to some to beat the combination for strength and potency. New members of the Blue family have hit the market periodically over the past few decades with hybrids like Blue Kush, Blue Satellite, Blue Moonshine among the most notable. To this day, novel combinations continue to emerge, each of which is a testament to the vision of the foresight of DJ Short. Wicka wicka. After all, none of these wonderful balanced creations would ever have existed if he hadn't made the inspired decision to mix an indica with a sativa all those years ago. The top 5 strains which blueberry genetics have come from. With the 5 strains below, you can trace the entire history of blueberry cannabis. Blueberry, sometimes it's best keeping simple things and just stick to the original, the OG. Our feminized blueberry seeds give the rise to beautiful, colorful plants featuring red, blue hues with excellent yields. Blueberry Kush, a cross between blueberry and OG Kush and Blue Mystic. This compact plant is perfect for growers who want to do a lot of bud but are short in space and pays homage to the history of the blueberry cannabis and Kush. Blue Dream. The first time I got to try Blue Dream is when I was working for a brewery, and I went out to California, and I was at a campsite, and a friend of mine gave me 4 of the most beautifulest, biggest nugs I'd ever seen, like in my hand, like just there. I mean, these things were monsters. They were just tops. They were beautiful. So that was my first experience with Blue Dream. Featuring blueberry and haze genetics, the sativa dominant hybrid is popular worldwide for its long-lasting cerebral high. Blueberry cheese. This is credited by crossing original cheese with blueberry. This mostly indica strain offers dense yields, a short grow cycle, and potent body high. Blueberry cookies, one of the easiest cultivars for beginner growers. The sweetest tasting indica dominant strain is known for its high THC levels. So that is the history of blueberry. Hopefully that helps for people that want to find that strain or crosses of that strain and grow it. So here's a question. Here's something that we were taught in high school, Mrs. Weedman. Mm-hmm. We were taught that cannabis was a depressant. I was told that in health class freshman year when I learned about, when they had that section of drugs are bad, McCoy section of your health class. So is cannabis a depressant?
Well, I have an article about that. If you have ever felt sleepy or sedated after using cannabis, you might have wondered, is weed a depressant? This article answers the questions. What is a depressant? Is weed a depressant? And is cannabis a central nervous system depressant? We'll also discuss whether weed is an upper or a downer and why this is such a common question. Depressants are drugs that slow down the activity of the brain. The Alcohol and Drug Foundation defines a depressant as a class of drugs that decreases stimulation and arousal. At a basic level, depressants do not directly reduce arousal in the brain. Rather, they enhance the activity of neurotransmitters that reduces arousal in the brain. This neurotransmitter is GABA. In mammals, GABA is the primary inhibitory neurotransmitter, and glutamate is the primary excitatory neurotransmitter, and their balance controls the brain's overall level of excitation. Depressants work by enhancing the activity of GABA, which has a calming influence on anxiety and acute stress reactions. Depressants can cause a range of effects from calming you down to making you drowsy and extending progressively to sleep. Unconscious coma, surgical anesthesia, and fatal respiratory and cardiovascular depression. Fortunately, cannabis does not lead to fatal respiratory and cardiovascular depression. If you want to know why you can't fatally overdose on weed, let's continue. Some common depressants include alcohol, prescription benzodiazepines like Xanax, prescription sleep medication like Ambien, and cannabis. Many people wonder if cannabis is a depressant or an antidepressant. That makes sense given that in some states, doctors can recommend medical cannabis to patients suffering from depression. Additionally, animal studies indicate that cannabinoids like THC can have antidepressant effects. However, cannabis can help you relax or fall asleep, and the sedating effects of cannabis also suggest it acts as a depressant. So is cannabis a depressant or an antidepressant? If you recall, the definition of a depressant is a drug that slows down brain activity, which is why depressants are also called central nervous system depressants or CNS depressants. The opposite of a depressant is not an antidepressant, but a stimulant or a drug that increases CNS activity. At a basic level, an antidepressant is defined as anything, especially a drug, used to prevent or treat depression, such as SSRIs and MAOIs. Whew. I'm pretty high. I had a 10 milligram,
Live resin.
live resin thing. Whee! In the United States, cannabis is federally illegal and classified as a Schedule I drug with no medical benefit. I don't think I breathed through or took a proper breath. I felt like I was holding my breath. I was underwater with no medical benefit. As a result, the FDA does not consider cannabis to be a treatment for depression. Please note that in this article, they're not advising anyone to replace prescription drugs with cannabis. The question, is cannabis a depressant or antidepressant, is based on the misconception that depressants and antidepressants are opposite. Depressants refer to the effect of a drug on the central nervous system, not how it affects mood. In fact, many depressants induce euphoria. So is weed a depressant? Let's find out whether it's an upper or a downer. The answer to the question, is weed a depressant, is yes. Cannabis is a central nervous system depressant at some doses. Cannabis is a biphasic drug. Remember how the levels of GABA and glutamate determine the overall excitement of the brain? Cannabis is known to significantly increase GABA levels. However, cannabis also increases glutamate and dopamine levels, which means that weed is a stimulant as well. The answer to it being the question of it being an upper or downer is complicated. Cannabis is both. There isn't a simple answer, which is why this question persists throughout the years. Beyond the effects of THC, there are other compounds in cannabis that can sedate you. For example, if you consume a strain with moderate to high myrcene, linalool, or terpenol, those are different terpenes, if they have a high content, you may be experiencing calming and sedative-like effects. Cannabis was historically classified in the medical textbooks as a hypnotic sedative, or hypnotic and sedative, two types of drugs that are depressants. In short, at the end of the day, yes, cannabis is a depressant.
I don't think it is, but whatever. I mean,
I think they're just saying overall.
Right. Well, I mean,
there's
cannabis. We know the strains that we love. Our indica style strains, our terpenes that are in indicas, the myrcenes of the worlds, the linaloos of the worlds, the beta carotene of the worlds, those terpenes that are in our indica plants that we smoke. Yes, it does bring us down. It does mellow us out. It does help us relax. It does help us sleep. It does help us just be euphoric. It helps us just watch Netflix and chill. You know, it's everything I love in a strain.
But there are strains that also get you wound up, where you feel like your heart is racing, or
pinene. It's also the terpenes.
You're out at a show,
of course,
and you can dance all night long,
right?
And you get hyper, or you get
100%.
The giggles,
right?
Those are all definitely euphoric and uplifting.
All the great strains.
But then at the end of that same strain,
so to me, it's just like they're not looking into. I gave you that article because I read it and I gave it to you because I knew it would be a good article for you to learn too. So I wanted you to talk about it because we've been told that it has been a depressant for age-old history, and I just don't believe that it is. I believe that it is. It doesn't make anybody depressed either. You know, right. So
it's not depression causing,
right at all either. So to me, I understand on the scientific term. Medical terms, maybe it's a depressant because that has they base it. But when more research is done, like when it goes federally legal, we can really dive in, and not just one opinion or one article or a couple of articles back from the 70s or 80s or early 90s or whatever. I think it won't be called a depressant anymore. That's just my opinion. I don't know. Take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
Here's something really positive, though.
What?
A win for cannabis. Cannabis legalization is linked to decreased use of alcohol, nicotine, and opioids.
That's
New
great.
study finds. Cannabis legalization is associated with decreased use of alcohol, nicotine, and non-prescription opioids among young adults, according to a new study. Young adults, that's great. Researchers at the University of Washington analyzed data on substances use trends from 2014 to 2019, findings that people aged 21 to 25 were less likely to consume the arguably more dangerous drugs post-legalization in the state. The study, published in the Journal of Adolescent Health last week, looked at 6 annual waves of cross-sectional survey data, analyzing from 12,694 adults. Contrary to concerns about spillover effects, implementation of legalized non-medical cannabis coincided with decreases in alcohol and cigarettes use and pain reliever misuses, the study abstract said. The weakening association of cannabis use with the use of other substances among individuals ages 21 to 25 require further research, but may suggest increased importance of the cannabis-specific prevention and treatment efforts. It continued. However, the study found that rates of past month e-cigarette use did increase among that age group after 2016. I will say this. I did vape. I went from cigarettes, and then I went to smoking nicotine vapes, and I am now, 90 days free?
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for
seems like longer.
I think March 1st
Yeah.
is when I stopped. So, and I'm not going to say it has not been easy. It's been hard. Thank goodness for cannabis. When I feel that, just, you know how I get, Mrs. Weedman, when it's just like the whole world feels like it's coming at me, and I just want to like run through the door and break it down and bust my head through a brick wall a couple times. I take a hit of cannabis and I feel so much better. Nicotine's a motherfucker. That's all I got to say. Real world data from legalization states disputes long-lasting claims that cannabis is some sort of gateway substance, Normal Deputy Director Paul Armentano said in a blog post. In fact, in many instances, cannabis regulation is associated with the decreased use of other substances, including many prescriptions and medications. To the point, another recent study concluded that cannabis legalization is associated with decreased use of prescription drugs for the treatment of conditions such as anxiety, sleep, pain, and seizures. Several previous studies have identified associations with enactment of medical cannabis legalization at the state level and reduced pharmaceutical prescriptions, but that paper focused on the potential impact of recreational legalizations in 10 states plus Washington, D.C. Last year, a study found that medical cannabis use is associated with significant reductions in dependence on opioids and other prescription drugs, as well as an increase of quality of life. A meta-study that published in 2020 also signaled that cannabis shows promise as a treatment option for chronic pain and can serve as an alternative to opioid-based painkillers. Research released a study that year that found cannabis can mitigate symptoms of opioid withdrawal. Phew, that's a good one. In 2019, researchers determined that the states with legal cannabis access experienced decrease in opioid prescriptions, and a separate study released that previous months showed that daily cannabis consumption is associated with reduce of opiate consumption and among chronic pain patients. Let's chalk one up for fucking cannabis. All right, here's something cool, Mrs. Weedman, or bad, or indifferent, or other. But I always talk about how like paranoia and anxiety, people always tell me how they get paranoid from smoking cannabis, and I always say it's in your fucking head. It's your head trying to work shit out. But I do understand paranoia, because I remember when I didn't know that I remember just like always thinking someone was watching me, like someone, they know I'm high kind of thing. You know, everybody's been there. You know,
You get inside your head.
yeah,
Too much.
of course. So that's the paranoia. Get out of your fucking head. Go enjoy it. Enjoy the high. Enjoy the experience. Always remember, a Vietnam vet told me a long time ago when I was in my early 20s was always remember, you took something to make your mind think that way, whether it be hallucinogenics, cannabis, any kind of synthetic kind of drugs. Always remember, don't get in your fucking head. Remember, it's what you took that made you, or making you feel that way. And when I realized that, and he also gave me another experience, he goes, if you're fucked up and you're driving, always look at the white line. And you will never fucking
Words
steer.
to live by.
You will never steer left or right. You will stay straight and
Blame it
narrow.
on the drugs and follow the white line, kid. Everything's going to be all right.
White line.
That's what he told you.
That's
Okay.
Great
Guess what?
advice.
I'm going to tell you about why cannabis might give you anxiety. So you don't have to take crazy advice like that.
I thought it was fucking great advice. It got me through a lot of years.
Oh my God. All right. On the face of it, it seems almost crazy that cannabis use can cause anxiety. After all, one of the reasons people consume medical cannabis is for its anxiolytic properties. Yet cannabis-induced anxiety is a side effect both medical and recreational users can experience. Let's take a look at the symptoms, causes, and preventative measures you can take to combat anxiety brought on by using cannabis. What is weed-induced anxiety? Just to be clear, it's not the feeling you get when you realize your stash is dwindling. Instead, it's the onset of negative symptoms of mental distress during or after cannabis use. It's relatively common knowledge that these symptoms can strike due to smoking and can leave a person in a state of fear and paranoia, and even lead to physical symptoms such as increased heart rate, hyperventilating, nausea, and vomiting. Why weed makes you anxious? The primary cannabinoid in cannabis, tetrahydrocannabinol, is a psychoactive compound that can have different results. The psychoactive effects of cannabis with THC can be too much for some people, especially initially. They can cause feelings of anxiety and paranoia. This is most likely because THC stimulates receptors in the brain, which regulate these emotional responses. Cannabidiol, there it is. I knew it was there. Cannabidiol, on the other hand, is a non-psychoactive, CBD is a non-psychoactive cannabinoid that doesn't bind directly to cannabinoid receptors and doesn't cause paranoia. So, if you have too much THC, we always say, have a little CBD or a lot. It could help tone it down.
But not too much.
Yeah, not too much.
Balance.
Balance is key. A 2017 study led by Oxford University gave participants a series of tests of suspiciousness, which included real-life social situations and virtual reality. It found that after THC, half of the participants that had paranoid thoughts opposed to 30% of respondents who were given a placebo. So half of the participants had paranoid thoughts, 30% were given a placebo, right? Still, the paranoia declined as the drug left the user's system. For this reason, doctors who prescribe medical marijuana must choose strains carefully and should recommend strains with lower THC levels for patients who show a tendency toward mental health issues. How to identify weed-induced anxiety. The symptoms can strike at any time with or without an obvious trigger. And before you know it, you've hit a downward spiral of negative thoughts which can jar you out of a relaxed state. While the anxiety can come from out of nowhere, it may be caused by something entirely tangible, like a knock at the door, a ringing phone, or a police siren. Any one of those can create a sudden sense of panic, which quickly shifts your anxiety response into high gear and leads to the rapid development of fear and paranoid feelings. You may quickly find yourself trapped by these feelings and unable to regain control and relax again. These feelings appear especially common in first-time or fledgling smokers as they come to terms with their first high and may have difficulty understanding the new feelings they're experiencing. Sudden feelings of guilt, panic, fear, impending doom, or imagining worst-case scenarios are common in cannabis-induced anxiety, and if not managed quickly, can in some cases lead to a full-blown panic attack. Whether you're alone or with a group of people, it's time to take action. So, what do you need to do? How to handle cannabis-induced anxiety. One of the most important things you can do if you find yourself in a situation like this is tell yourself you're high, like your vet told you. Tell yourself you're high and accept it. It can be hard for beginners to compartmentalize that the altered state they're feeling is part of the experience.
Always listen to your vets. That's all I gotta tell you.
Being high for the first time feels fabulous to many people, but some may find the change of states to be overwhelming. At this time, it's especially good to have support from others. And if they're experienced cannabis users, even better, as they can guide you through what's happening and help you calm down. What if you're alone and you experience this weed-induced anxiety? Breathe. Whether you're alone or in company, if you feel yourself beginning to succumb to those anxious feelings, start by regulating your breathing. This is a must for any type of anxiety attack, as panic typically leads to hyperventilating, which can then lead to fainting. Take a series of slow, measured, deliberate, deep breaths, making sure not to gulp air through your nose and let each one out slowly through your mouth, gradually bringing your airflow under control. Talk to yourself. Use your inner monologue to reassure yourself that you're okay and you will be fine. A state of anxiety or paranoia is almost always accompanied by heavy thoughts of panic and worst-case scenarios.
The world is gonna end.
I'm
Don't
dying
do that to
right
yourself.
now. Where am I?
It'll all be okay.
Oh my God.
It'll all be
Yeah, the
okay.
doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
DM Mr. and Mrs. Weedman.
It doesn't matter though. Like you can go there. Like it said, something really simple.
know,
You hear some
I
weird
know.
noise and it triggers a thought. That triggers a thought. That
I
triggers a
know.
thought.
But I'm telling you right now,
yeah.
DM Mr. and Mrs. Weedman.
But you really do just have to remember.
We'll
Oh
help
shit!
you
I'm just
through.
high.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
I'm good.
Okay. Pedal back. Bring it back.
And
All
listen
right.
to your vets.
Yeah. Yeah. And listen to your vets. At this time, while you're really high, your imagination is especially fertile for creating some of these crazy thoughts. Overpower them and silence them by using positive affirmations. It's okay to speak out loud if you're by yourself, but you might get some funny looks if you're at a party and start chanting that I'm okay. No, really, I'm okay. I'm okay. So don't do that. And then cool down. If you have access to water, run some cold water over your wrists, wash your face, put a cold flannel on your forehead or on the back of your neck. This will help lower your temperature and bring you back to a normal state all the quicker. Eat and drink. Sip, don't gulp. Eating and drinking gives you something else to focus on, which can calm you down and potentially take the edge off. And walk it off. Choose a safe route. If you've got someone to go with you, obviously that's better. Having company and conversation can be helpful distractions, as well as beneficial from a safety point of view. Resist the temptation to lie down in a darkened room and do nothing. That will likely cause the feelings to fester and lead you into the spins. You don't want the spins.
Mrs. Weedman hates the
Ugh,
spins.
So, to reduce the risk of weed-induced anxiety, if you find you're prone to occasional or frequent bouts of anxiety and paranoia when you use cannabis, there's several things that you can do to help eliminate or at least reduce your risk. When used responsibly, cannabis can be a wonderful way to relax, and it has many proven benefits. Still, if you find yourself having episodes of anxiety, you have to weigh up whether cannabis is right for you. Before you do that, try the following methods to see if it makes a difference. Use a smaller amount. Something as simple as lowering your dose could be the secret to avoiding anxiety. A study from 2017 found that a low dose of THC, 7.5 milligrams, reduced negative feelings associated with stressful tasks, whereas high doses, 12.5 milligrams, increased negative feelings related to the same task. You may simply have a tolerance that can stand a little, but not a lot. So keep close tabs on your use and see if there's a sweet spot. If there is, don't go beyond it. Lower THC strains. Given the psychoactive potency of some strains, it makes sense that not all weed is created equal, and some strains are simply far more potent than your system would like. In much the same way that you can enjoy a few beers, but doing shots can cause complete mayhem. The same is true of cannabis. Try a different route. Are edibles too strong? Try smoking or vaping. Responsible use requires awareness. So if you can identify any potential triggers that cause adverse reactions, try to eliminate them and switch to a different method. This may be your answer. And watch your mindset going in. We've been talking about this, set and setting, right? A paranoid, anxious, or worried mind may not be conducive to pleasant cannabis experiences. So if you're having a bad time or already have an anxiety disorder and are tempted to blow the cobwebs away with a few joints, be aware. It could be a recipe for a bad episode. Always use cannabis safely and responsibly, and try to note your habits and experiences. If you're mindful of the dose, the route, and the strain, this can help you troubleshoot problems you may have when it comes to cannabis-induced anxiety and paranoia.
Great fucking read
that's
right
a good
there.
one.
Really good. Always listen to your vets.
Yeah, right.
I'm telling you, your veterans out there, they know more than you think. They have a lot of experience. and a lot of things. Okay, so listen to them and learn. And like I said, watch your mindset too. If you've ever tried psychedelics or gonna try psychedelics one day, go in with the right mindset. Do not do psychedelics when you're pissed, depressed, in a fight. Stay away. Your mind goes where it doesn't want to be. So, good, fucking awesome read. I liked it a lot. In Illinois, there's been 185 dispensary licenses on litigation or in litigation for the last 2 years. Dispensary licenses in Illinois, the 185, MIGHT, there's a little word right there, might finally officially be awarded this Friday. That doesn't make any sense. And I read this on Grown In. They're great. I read a lot of their articles. Not on the show. This is the first one on the show I've ever read, but it was launched. That's who I got it from. So right off the bat, I follow them on Twitter. So, but the 185 licenses keeping license winners from opening stores could be lifted as early as Friday, according to a motion discussion in the Cook County Circuit Court as of this morning. So this article is pretty good. If you're in Illinois, you want to read it. It's Grown In by Mike Foucher, May 23rd, 2022. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Let's see what else. Cannabis legalization more popular in Texas than the governor of Texas. Biden and other officials, new poll finds. 60% said they're in favor of recreational legalization as well. 83% support medical. Psh, weed is more popular than people now. I love it. Well, I think it's always been. Here's something. Nebraska medical cannabis activists file lawsuit over ballot rules. Damn, you go get that fucking that jerky governor there, trying to stop you all from getting your medicine. Ohio expands THC label requirements to include Delta-8 THC and minor cannabinoids, but also in Ohio is 70 new provisional Ohio medical cannabis dispensaries announced. And finally, some more. So right now you got 58. You got another 70 coming along the way. Pretty good, because there's a lot of wait lines. Now you just need to go wreck, and it's not going to happen now until 2023. Boo, boo. Louisville lawmakers approved medical cannabis employment protections for state workers. Good for you, Louisiana. Cannabis regulatory update, Rhode Island and Minnesota, Colorado, and Washington. In Rhode Island, the Senate and House committees send cannabis legalization bill to full chambers. Good. Let's go. GOP-led Minnesota Senate votes against motion to take up cannabis legalization measures. Fuck. Minnesotans will have to wait a little longer to see cannabis legalized since lawmakers refuse to bring the bill to the Senate floor for consideration. Aboo. Colorado's new task force to study cannabis Delta-8 THC products. Good. Let's find out if they're fucking legit or not. And see if it, I mean, I know it works, but make sure it's coming from legit sources. Washington lawmakers approve creation of cannabis safety task force. All right, that's some updates in some cool states. New York approves another 58 cultivation licenses, which brings the total 146. It's not enough. It's not enough. You have fucking so many people that live, and I know it's not going to be every county has an approved a cultivation, but it's not going to be enough. I just know it. It's going to be pretty big. So, I mean, that'll put you 146. This fucking, oh my God, how many people? 22 million people in New York? Maybe more now? Maybe like 28 million people, I think. I think through the whole state. I don't know. And weed, you could smoke it anywhere? Well, 200, I think, is a good number. We'll see. Small little growers, craft growers in each town would be dope. Vermont issues first recreational cannabis cultivation license. Good for you, Vermont. Here's, Dr. Oz, who is running for governor in Pennsylvania, does not support legalizing cannabis in Pennsylvania. And that state is like raring and ready to go. That's bullshit. Because he does. I'm not saying he's against cannabis at all. He does think it's fine medically, but he doesn't believe in recreationally. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens with him. Here's something really interesting because I didn't go to a 4-year college. I went to a 2. Well, I did go, but I didn't finish. I got my associates at a 2-year college, and I remember we smoked more weed than I knew than the 4-year college students did because they drank more alcohol. This article proved it.
Oh, yeah?
Or it says it did. 2-year college students don't drink nearly as much as their 4-year college counterparts, but they do smoke a lot more pot, according to a study from Washington State University. Researchers at WSOU said the study examined 517 students between 18 and 23 years old at 2- and 4-year schools in Washington State. The students in the study filled out confidential online monthly surveys and were paid to participate, both factors that help keep retention rates high, the study author said. Pretty good, paying for their time. Four-year college students near Seattle averaged more than 7 drinks a week compared to the 3.5 drinks reported by two-year college students. But two-year college students reported using cannabis more than 8 days a month on average, while four-year students reported using cannabis about 4.5 days a month. Interesting. They didn't expect the differences in both alcohol and cannabis use among the two and the four-year college students, but was surprised by the magnitude of the difference given that the subjects are the same ages. And Jennifer Duckworth, an assistant professor of WSU, led the author of paper. I remember going out to the parking lot between classes at junior college and getting baked and going back to class. That was great. Oh, actually going to the cafeteria first and then going back to class. I didn't drink that much. I had my times, but I didn't really drink that much. I'd rather smoke. Here's something awesome. Delta 8 THC products are federally legal just like hemp. Appeals court rules. Yeah. I got my Delta 9, but I know people like the Delta 8 THC, so I mean, it's got to be tested. And really, I don't know why states, I've kind of talked about it before. They just put it out there so quick and just didn't get like state regulations and legalization to do it, and you just saw it everywhere pop up. And of course, states are also gonna be like, "What the fuck's going on? What is this new cannabinoid? What is this going on?"
But at a federal level,
because hemp is legal. So if it comes from hemp, it's legal. So it says.
But it's made synthetically.
You can get it from if you grew.
But there's no control over
yeah.
where it's coming from.
Right. So, but current cultivation and manufacturing techniques, however, allow for so-called minor cannabinoids to be concentrated from hemp plants and refined into consumer products. And Delta 8 THC products have surged in popularity in recent years, especially in states where cannabis remains illegal. So, I mean, the court ruled on it. I think 3-0. Yeah, 3-0 ruling.
Wow.
So, I mean, I don't know. Try to fight for it in your state if you don't have regulations for Delta 9. So. I've never been pulled over for using cannabis, but what should people do if they are?
All right. This is a whole article about what you should do. So if you choose to drive under the influence, despite legalization efforts, motorists can still be convicted of driving under the influence of cannabis. DUI is defined as driving with a controlled substance or its metabolites in the blood. With cannabis, the chemical in question can be detected in blood for days after use, long after any high or impairment has worn off. In some states, DUI conviction requires evidence of actual impairment. That includes the officer's opinion that the person was driving unsafely, coupled with other findings such as drugs in the car. In addition, prosecutors typically enlist the input of a second police officer with specialized training called a drug recognition expert. So can I drive after using cannabis? It may seem obvious, but the safest route is to avoid driving after using cannabis. If you must drive, research suggests that impairment has mostly worn off by 5 hours after inhalation, said Terry Spindle, a psychologist at Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. For edibles, a person should probably wait at least 6 hours, as the active components of the drug generally take longer to dissipate than when smoked, Spindle said. But for both types of use, the drug's effects and the duration of those effects vary from person to person. In a July 2021 analysis in the Journal of Neuroscience and Biobehavioral Reviews, Australian research found that most driving-related skills are predicted to recover within 5 hours of inhaling the drug, and almost all should recover within 7 hours. So how do I tell if I'm impaired? If there's any doubt, wait. Cannabis users can usually tell when they're high, but they may be unable to detect subtle impairments that linger after the initial effects have subsided, said Robert Padina, a neuropsychologist and professor emeritus at Rutgers University. Technology may help determine if you're impaired. One option is a smartphone app called Druid, developed by Michael Milburn, a psychology professor at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. The app enables users to measure their reaction time, hand-eye coordination, balance, decision-making accuracy, and the ability to estimate the passage of time. It is designed for individual use, not for law enforcement, and there is no specific outcome that signifies impairment. Instead, the app indicates whether the individual's performance is significantly worse than their baseline measurements, which must be taken on a previous occasion when that person has not been using drugs. That's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
And it's free, I believe. What is it called again? Druid. Druid. It's a smartphone app. Is there a breathalyzer for pot? Well, cannabis is not like alcohol, for which the breathalyzer and similar devices provide a reliable estimate of blood alcohol content, which in turn is correlated with the ability to drive. In many other states, motorists should be wary. The determination of impairment is partly up to the officer's discretion, said William McNichol Jr., an adjunct professor at Rutgers Law School in Camden. That advice may be particularly important for Black people who have been arrested in disproportionate numbers for cannabis-related offenses, he said. When human judgment is involved, even from the trained drug recognition experts, whose protocol is now under review by the New Jersey Supreme Court, the risk of improper arrest is higher, McNichol said. Law enforcement officials counter that the DRE program is grounded in years of research and that in the absence of a reliable chemical test for impairment, the protocol is essential in keeping roads safe. So should cannabis users drive extra carefully? Yep, says State Rep Chris Robb, a medical cannabis patient who drives 100 plus miles to Harrisburg for work. Robb says that he takes a tincture of cannabis several nights a week to combat sleeplessness, a side effect of post-traumatic stress. That means his blood likely always contains at least trace amounts of THC or its metabolites. In Pennsylvania, that means he could be arrested for a DUI even though he never drives until the morning after using the drug when any effects have worn off, the lawmaker said. I drive very carefully, he said, but I drive with fear. Robb has introduced legislation that would exempt medical cannabis patients from zero-tolerance laws, providing they are driving safely. Corey Williams, 23, a Ben Salem resident and medical cannabis patient, said he was arrested on DUI charges 6 years ago, despite not being impaired. Since then, in addition to driving carefully, he takes pains to keep his car in good shape. He also refrains from driving after smoking cannabis. Be smart about it, he said. Make sure that everything in your car is fine. Your inspection, your registration, things like that. Things that can get you pulled over. Should I show my medical marijuana card? In the state of Pennsylvania, absolutely not. That's the advice from defense attorneys Patrick Nightingale, who practices in Pittsburgh, and Ken Chotiner, who is based in Philadelphia. I have a number of clients about to be let go from a traffic stop until they came to light that they were a medical patient, Nightingale said. That admission gives police reason to suspect that the motorist's blood contains at least trace amounts of cannabinoid chemicals. They can then ask the driver to submit to a blood test. And if the motorist refuses, that means an automatic loss of your driver's license for a year. Holy crap.
Damn.
If police convince a judge there is probable cause to believe the person has been using cannabis, then they can get a warrant to compel a blood draw. In New Jersey, where a blood and urine test or urine test is not enough for a conviction, there's less risk in disclosing medical marijuana status, said Michael Hoffman, a defense attorney, but there's no particular reason to volunteer it either. So what information should I volunteer? As little as possible, Chotiner said, but never lie. Be very polite, but you're not under any obligation to answer questions or provide information other than your name and your driver's license, along with proof of insurance and registration. Even if the officer acts suspicious, resist the urge to be helpful, Chotiner said. I'd much rather the officer testify he wasn't answering my questions, so I arrested him, rather than I asked him and he volunteered. Should I agree to a blood or urine test? It might make sense for a motorist to agree to a blood test if it's a first DUI offense. In Philadelphia, a first-time offender is eligible for a rehabilitative program that would lead to a year's probation, but a loss of a license for just 60 days. And after that, they can have their record expunged. So, long story short, when in doubt, take an Uber.
Yeah.
That's a lot to have to keep track of just to smoke and drive.
Just take an Uber.
Just take an Uber.
Or call a friend.
Yeah.
A friend with weed is a friend in need.
Yeah.
Or a friend indeed, however you look at it.
It's a friend you need, not
They'll get
in
you,
need.
pick them up, and then you better get them baked when you get home.
Yeah, right.
And then hang out at their
Fair.
house and eat some fucking
Totally.
food, play some video games, whatever. Fucking hang out, watch a movie.
Yep.
If someone picks you up and you got weed on you,
You better, send
if
them
you
home
don't
with some.
send them home with a nug or get them high. Whatever, I don't
Right.
care.
Well, now then you got to drive them home
No, just hang out at their house. Who cares?
Just keep hanging out.
Yeah, fuck it.
until you're good enough to go home.
International news. How many people in the EU support cannabis legalization? This is the answer. It kind of surprised me, but the survey was conducted by Hanaway Associates of London-based advisory firm that specializes in strategy research and mergers and acquisitions in the cannabis sector. The company recently unveiled the cannabis tracker. Their most recent survey included 9,000 adults. So according to the survey, 55% of Europeans in 8 major countries support a government-regulated system that allows the sale of cannabis to adults over the age of 18. Don't let the government run it, though. 20% oppose it, and 20% neither support nor oppose legalization. Additionally, 48% want regulated retail cannabis outlets, and 35% support allowing people to grow cannabis at home. Another 32% support social clubs, something just launching now in the U.S. The highest levels of support came from Italy, 60%, but every other country, with the exception of the Netherlands, had at least 50% support for legalization. That's pretty good. That's not surprising, though, given the recent events. Luxembourg decriminalized cannabis possession in the fall of 2021. Germany is moving forward with a state-run system for selling legal cannabis that officials there hope to launch in 2023. Officials in France, which has one of the highest cannabis consumption rates in Europe, are increasingly speaking about the potential for legalization. European support for legal weed by country. This was kind of cool. Italy 60, Portugal 59, Switzerland 58, Spain 56, the UK 55, France 52, Germany 50, and the Netherlands 47. So that was the list. They didn't give me more countries than that. So, but pretty good. Pretty good, man. Let's go EU. You guys should all do it. Bermuda government waits to hear back from London on cannabis stalemate. You're going to be waiting a long time, Bermuda. More ships will probably get sunk in the Bermuda Triangle before they get back to you on cannabis because they ain't going anywhere near it either. So let's go. Bermuda wants their weed. The vice president of Honduras plans to generate 85,000 jobs from cannabis. He's going to get jobs. There's like 1 million people out of work, 85,000 cannabis workers. They're going to do farming, and they're going to be going brazy, fucking crazy. So good for them. Oh, here was something good. In what looks like the surprise success grassroots campaign, Legalize Cannabis Australia has emerged as the vote winner in the Senate, performing strongly in several states and even rivaling One Nation's vote in Queensland. The Micro Party, which has the name suggests, is pushing a cannabis to be legalized, followed by up to its success in last year's Western Australia election, where it picked up 2 major House seats. We have a friend in Western Australia. Mm-hmm. We have a few friends in Western. We have a lot of friends in Australia, but Western Australia, I can think of one, especially. Where it picked up 2 House seats, according to the latest Senate results. Legalized cannabis has picked up between 2 and 7% of the Senate vote in most states and Northern Territory. The party has a 7.5% vote in NT, 3.9% in Western Australia, 6.7% in Queensland, 3.5% in Victoria, and 3% in New South Wales, with the 38.6% of the total vote counted nationally as of Sunday midday. That's pretty good. That's exciting. So they just need to get it done. Just fully wreck. Go crazy, Australia. Grow your own there. Do it all. You got some more cowbell for me?
Mm-hmm. More cowbell.
More cowbell.
Christopher Walken, he's a legend.
Legend.
He outs himself as a longtime weed smoker. Go Walken. He most definitely walks with a rhythm, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he's been a longtime weed smoker, too. In a recent interview with the New York Times Magazine, Christopher Walken, the 78-year-old Academy Award-winning actor, known for stealing the show in countless films, was asked if he'd ever been a heavy marijuana smoker. Walken answered the question with a very cool, eloquent, and so thoughtful answer that only he could pull off. Sure, he said. In an effort to extract more juicy gossip from the beloved Hollywood star, the interviewer followed up asking, Do you still smoke? And again, Walken delivered a one-word answer that melted our stony hearts. A short but ever so sweet, sure. Walken hasn't portrayed stoners in any of his films, though he did inspire one of hip-hop's most smoked-out legends, the notorious B.I.G.
Hell yeah.
In the 1990 gangster noir film King of New York,
Such a great movie.
Walken played drug kingpin Frank White. Besides once literally crowning himself as the King of New York, Biggie also referred to himself as the Black Frank White, in direct reference to Walken's character. Today, Biggie's son, C.J. Wallace, owns and operates the Think Big cannabis brand, which debuted with a limited edition Frank White creative blend of pre-roll packs. As for Walken, having ever tried any Frank White weed, the actor didn't give up any information beyond confessing to inhaling. He did, however, recently nab the Emperor role for Denis Villeneuve's sequel to the psychedelic space flick Dune, which we're sure Walken will make extra spicy.
Always does.
That's cool.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Jake Roberts gets real on WWE CEO Vince McMahon on banning cannabis. I used to be a big wrestling watcher when I was a kid, probably until I was in my mid-20s. And then our kids didn't like it, didn't watch it, so I kind of faded away from it, you know. So, but I know who Jake the Snake Roberts is, so is a big fan of cannabis, and he let it be known in a recent episode of the DDP Snake Pit podcast. The decision WWE CEO Vince McMahon made to ban pot was one that really bothered Roberts. The WWE legend has a specific routine that included things most athletes would frown upon. Jake Roberts wasn't able to keep it going for long, though. His routine was basically beginning with beer, a little pot, a little sleeping pill, and then Vince came along to cut the pot out. Man, and then when he cut out the pot, that was tough because we didn't have a go-to thing to relax us. We had to double up on beer and basically a sleeping pill, more of a sleeping pill. So when you start mixing your drugs, you start going to kill yourself. Then it's got a lot of guys, they start mixing them, they take a pill, they have a few beers, they pass out, they wake up and they think, wait a minute, I didn't take my pills, and they take more. Then you're in the danger zone. Then when you're flying into the fire, you know. So Jake Roberts explained why he felt that cannabis use was not a real problem for the athletes in WWE. He brought up the age-old argument about being a gateway drug. I don't think cannabis is a gateway drug. I think alcohol is. I tell folks out there, I'm pro pot, you know. I never got in a fight when I was smoking pot. I never got into trouble when I was smoking pot. I never wanted to do cocaine when I was smoking pot. But if you give me a few Jack Daniels, brother, I want to fight, and I want some shit to go down, and I want to get some goddamn cocaine right now. So at the end of the day, Jake Roberts believes it's one of the worst things that happened in WWE. Vince McMahon's decision had a big consequence for the athletes in the organization. For Vince, the worst thing he could have done was take away cannabis because that was everybody's go-to thing to relax. Of course, it's one of the worst things to get out of your system, whereas cocaine would be out of your system in 3 days. Cannabis would stay in your system for 30, so you're screwed. Because I think they do drug tests there for steroids now, too, I think, and shit, too. So, man, Vince McMahon, get him off the painkillers. Get him off all that shit, and you get your wrestlers on the cannabis. They stay nice and head clear. They get good rest. They don't get lazy. I'm telling you that right now. There is no lazy stoner. There is no lazy burner. There is no lazy pothead. Just because you smoke cannabis, you're just lazy naturally.
That's so true.
I'm ambitiously lazy is what I tell people all the time. People are like, what the fuck do you mean ambitious? I like to get my shit done as quick as possible so I can be lazy on the weekends.
Yeah.
And I'm not lazy all weekend, but you got to have a couple lazy hours here and there where you just don't do dick. Mm-hmm. So being lazy every once in a while is all right by me. But Vince McMahon, WWE, man, take care of your wrestlers. Get them off that opioids. Get them off alcohol. Fucking get them on cannabis when they need it. I'm telling you. Help them out. Learn, Vince. Learn. I've been watching you since like 70. Been watching wrestling. I mean, I watched wrestling since like I was like 4 years old. I mean, I watched all through them all. I mean, I still follow it here and there. I still like read articles and stuff about wrestling and watch little video clips here and there. But I watch some of the old stuff. But I mean, those guys put their fucking body through hell.
Yeah, they do.
Whether you think it's fake or not, it's entertainment. Wrestling is entertainment. You get fucking hit with a fucking flying elbow off the top rope like fucking Macho Man Randy Savage used to do. Tell me that doesn't fucking hurt. I don't give a fuck who you are. That fucking shit's gonna hurt. Even though it's poetically done, let's just say. It's practice done so you don't fucking kill somebody. But that fucking shit hurts. Because I used to do it to my little brother all the time, and that shit hurt. Him, by the way. So, here's something cool. I like Woody Harrelson. I like his movies. Who doesn't love him in fucking Cheers? I mean, come on. But he opens up his first pot shop lounge in West Hollywood, The Woods. So Woody Harrelson isn't just sitting, hitting the trees these days. Now he's selling them too. On the luckiest day of the year, Friday the 13th, Harrelson headlined the ribbon-cutting ceremony of his new pot shop in West Hollywood, The Woods. West Hollywood's mayor and the Chamber of Commerce was there, and Harrelson's wife Laura and managers also attended. Do you know he got arrested in Kentucky for planting hemp seeds?
He did.
He got arrested. He was out in front of like the Capitol or some shit, and they arrested him. So when he was fighting, he took a layoff for a while too on cannabis, and then guess who got him stoned again?
Who?
Good old Willie Nelson. Brought him back, gave him some. So good for him. I mean, another star just doing their thing. When it comes to, I think Method Man's got a weed strain launching in Michigan too. I love Wu-Tang, so good for him. I like his solo career too. I mean, he's fucking great. So good for Method Man. I mean, all these stars who've done weed, supported weed, fought for weed all these years, and now taking the legal step and making some money out of it. Good for them. But also, don't forget about us. The people here that have been supporting it too, and they want to open up something, they should too. There's enough money for everybody, not just some fucking corporate dude who just some fucking guy who has a lot of money who doesn't give a fuck anything but profits and money in his pocket. So it's built for the stoners, burners, and potheads around the world, not just movie stars and athletes and all these people. We should all be able to make money at it. The traditional market, as I talk about a lot, should be able to become legal and make it legally, and because they've been doing it and taking the risk all along. So that's just my opinion. Take it or leave it, right, Mrs. Weedman?
That's right.
You got anything else to say?
COVID sucks.
Hashtag COVID sucks. I will say this: I harvested my strawberry Kush Breath by Tarantula Genetics. It's been hanging for like 5 days now. I always do. I take a bud out, put it in in our new jar, in our new 8 Decades jar. Pretty fucking badass. Put it in there because I always tell everybody I like to try it right when I harvest it. And I smoked some the first day when I harvested it. And there's none left. I smoked the rest yesterday.
I wanted to smell it.
I smelled the rest yesterday.
I can smell what's left in there.
And I smoked it the first day when I was harvesting. I always do. And it was sticky, dicky, icky. And it got me high. And then I smoked some yesterday. And oh boy.
You said you were really high.
I was really high. And it's still sticky, icky, dicky.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I cannot wait till the 15th day, about 12 days. Harvest it, cure it, take a snippet off of that. You and I will smoke it. And then 4 to 6 weeks later, we'll smoke some more. But we'll smoke it all the way along. And I didn't get a lot, but this is going to be good. If I was as baked off of that yesterday, just thinking when it's cured properly, how friggin' good it's going to be.
It's going to be yummy.
And it tasted fucking sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, it had I hit that fucking thing all night when I was down here gaming. I gamed for 3 hours with Paulie and
right.
T and a couple of other guys, and we were gaming, and I was baked. Loving life, though. I mean, I felt no pain. None. Nothing. So, Tarantula Genetics, Strawberry Kush Breath. I got a few seeds left. Can't wait to grow some more of that strain. But yeah, I'm super excited. Don't forget, everyone, our 100th episode coming up. Stay tuned for all the details. We will let you all know in the upcoming week. We'll post it every day so you all know when to join us, how to join us, and have a smoke sesh with us. Right?
That's right.
I might even be in the costume.
Join us.
I might even be in the costume.
Oh.
The costume might come out.
It'll just make you feel that much more Mr. Weedman-ish, right? It'll just elevate
That's
the
it.
experience.
Gotta do it. Gotta
That's
do
right.
it. Hey, everybody, don't forget to check us out, 8decades.com.
Don't forget, if you do check it out, not only do we have 8 Decades brand items, but we have swag for the Weedman 420 Chronicles podcast.
Weedman 420 Chronicles hoodie.
Yeah.
This is
T-shirts, hat, bags,
Yep.
all sorts of goodies.
All
so check
sorts
them out.
of stuff. Thanks, Mrs. Weedman, for
A
recognizing.
little plug for you, Mr.
Recognizing
Weedman.
Weedman 420.
That's right.
But all of our social media stuff is on there now too. So you can find us. You can also email Mrs. Weedman. You can email Mr. Weedman. It's on there. So check us out, man, and help our fucking, what is that, SEO fucking bullshit? go up?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Get
Just
us up
help
in the,
us
get
out.
us up in the Google ranks. We appreciate y'all out there. 8decades.com. As Paulie always says, smoke smart, puff puffing away.
Puff, puff, pass.